Hey scrapbook friends, it's Nicole, and I'm coming here today with a layout tutorial for a layout design that I am calling the Circle Waves layout. I will start by saying that this layout is inspired by a layout that I saw on Pinterest by CM advisor Bev DeBono, and she actually was using the Global Glow recipe template with the Mermaid Cove, but Global Glow is long retired. And so I wanted to kind of replicate that idea, that layout that I've seen of hers, without having to have that recipe template. So I'm going to be using some different tools, but she is the one that kind of sparked this whole idea. And so thank you, Bev, for inspiring me in this layout. This is a layout that I created for the Fresno Crop and Connect 2023, which is a CM advisor only training retreat that I was privileged to attend this past month. And usually when I create a layout that's taught at an exclusive event, I'm asked not to show it later on YouTube or to post it anywhere publicly. But when I was teaching this layout, I don't think it's hard, but there were enough steps that people were confused about, and the overhead projector that we had there wasn't working very well, so people couldn't see things up close. It was over Zoom, so I didn't have the ability to, ironically, zoom, so people could see close in what I was doing. And so I'm going to go ahead and share this layout with everybody, and I'll of course be sharing it with those CM advisors who were at the Fresno Crop and Connect, and hopefully those of you who got lost along the way will be able to follow more closely by doing it on video. So this is the original layout that I came up with that I love. Mermaid Cove is one of my very favorite collections, but you can use it with any paper pack or collection that you want. I'm going to show you right here. I did it with the Summer Denim, which was our third quarter advisor exclusive paper pack. I think it looks great. And today we're going to be using Sunflower Fields, which is a different, yet another sample of how to make this. But I am going to, underneath here, I do have the one I taught in Fresno that I didn't put any of the embellishments on yet. So hopefully some of the feedback that I got was that people wished that they could see kind of exactly what they were building before we started to put the mats on it. So this is what we're building with this layout technique today. We're going to be using the circle cutter, and we're going to be using the 12-inch decorative trimmer. So the 12-inch trimmer is going to make the waves, and the circle cutter is going to make the circles, hence the name Circle Waves layout. You're also going to need, of course, your standard Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer. You're going to need a pack of, or at least one 3x3 square Post-it note. Please don't use a 2x3. You can't use a 1.5. It has to be the 3x3. If you have a 4x4, you could use a 4x4, but it's got to be a square. If you don't have a Post-it note, you could use a scrap of cardstock, but it has to be a square. Okay, that's so important that you have a square. It also will be very helpful if you have the Creative Memories Zero Centering Ruler. For this technique, you can do this with another ruler, but this one makes it so much easier. You're going to need either a pen or a pencil, just a ballpoint pen or a pencil, a piece of washi tape, any kind of washi tape. I always like to pick ones that I probably won't use on a layout, will also be very helpful. And then I like to use the Creative Memories cutting mat, the 13x13 inch cutting mat, to help me position where my pieces are going to go. All right, so those are the tools that you're going to need. And of course, a tape runner and or repositionable tape runner based on what you prefer to do. And then to choose your papers for this, what you want to do is you want to have a base piece that is mostly a solid. For this one, I did use a pattern from Mermaid Cove, which is kind of an underwater scene, so it's a little bit lighter at this end than at this end, but it acted as a solid. For the other ones the other one that I showed you, I just used solid cardstock as my base. So you could use cardstock if you want for your base. I mean, I guess you could use cardstock for all of it if you wanted to, if you just want to practice this on some cardstock that you don't care that much about, I guess. And then you need two other designer papers. You need one to kind of be your focal point paper. This one, I liked having it with a pattern. I feel like it brought some interest. It added to the theme. And then this one I wanted to be more neutral. You can use the front and back of that on the on this summer denim. I did use the front and back, so that would be fine if you wanted to do it that way. But again, I had kind of put my busy pattern here, and then I put a less busy pattern and then another pattern on there. So be choosing kind of, when you're choosing your papers, that's what you want to keep in mind. You need two pieces for the background, one piece that's going to be your kind of your focal point with the bullseye on it, and then one piece that's going to be your waves. And so, like I said, I'm going to be using some papers from Sunflower Fields, which is a paper pack that came out in September. This is a very limited release. I think it's probably going to be selling out soon. But I still have some, and I really love it. I love these sunflowers. And so I'm going to use the brown, kind of this chevron, as my background. It has this cute drawn sunflower on the back, but I need both of these to be my background. And then I really love this sunflower, and I want this to be my center section. And then I want this to be my wave, and I may use the front and the back. I haven't decided yet, but I like both sides of this one. So that gives me a few more options when I get into my cutting. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut these pieces that are going to make our waves, just because we want to get those cut and set out of the way, because when we cut these, we want to be able to position them and then put them on our layout. So I'm going to set aside the background papers and my focal point paper, which is going to be these, and we're just going to strictly start with the piece that's going to be our waves. All right. So for this one, you want to start with 4 2 by 11.5-inch strips. And I know that's kind of an odd measurement. What I found was easiest for me was to cut the 2-inch strips first and then trim a 1/2 inch off the edge. But you can do it however you want. You could cut an 8-inch strip and then cut the 1/2 inch off, so you end up with a 8-inch by 1/2 inch strip to use for another project. But that small piece of paper, I don't have a good storage system for scraps that tiny, so I would not use it. So there's my 4 2-inch strips. So this should be about 4 by 12. We may use this piece later, depending on how the layout works. I did use it on the Mermaid one. I didn't use it on the Denim one. So that we'll save that just in case we want to use it. Now I'm going to take all 4 of these. I'm just going to stack them. I don't love to stack and cut everything at the same time, because sometimes they slide, they don't stay together. But for this tiny little cut, I am okay. I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off the edge. So on the CM trimmer, it's the grid line right here, closest to the mat on the small side. So that way I have this whole section on the wide side to put my paper on. All right, so there's my little 1/2 inch, and these are scraps. We don't need those. So now we're going to take our 12-inch decorative trimmer, and yours may be blue. With the old company, this was blue with yellow. Either one is going to work fine. I find that I have a little bit easier time seeing the numbers on this one, but I tell you what, I'm so spoiled with our 12-inch regular trimmer that these little grids are just hard to see, and this is no exception. So for this one, what we want to do is cut a wavy line basically down the center. It doesn't have to be exactly centered. And so on the edge, I'm going to pop this off. Maybe I'm going to pop this off on the side. All right, so this is the wavy line that I want our cut to be on. And if you look on the trimmer right here, this says like a 2. I don't know, I can't even see it, but that's a 2 right there. So this is a 1, and that's a 3. So I guess the 0 line for this trimmer is this. And on here, this isn't a 0 line, but we want to center it. So there's a 1 and there's a 3. And I'm sure they don't recommend you take this arm off your trimmer, but it's not a huge deal if you do, because you can just snap it back on. Just don't break it. Okay. And if you do have the old blue trimmer and your yellow blades are dull, you can buy the blue replacement blades that are identical except for the color. I'm going to try and cut through all of these at once. You do not have to. You can cut these individually, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to put this on the 1 inch. No, they're not quite lined up. When I do this by myself, I can cut great. And when I'm doing it on a video, I have a harder time. Okay, so now I've put this on here. Might be easier to not try and cut them all at once, but as long as we keep them stacked up, it's going to be fine. So pretty much what this does is it lines the edge of your paper up with the edge of the cutting guide. And I like to cut up toward this edge that I'm butting up against. Sometimes when you use this trimmer, people want you to center it. This one, it doesn't matter. I like to have it up against the edge so I know that it's straight. We're just going to cut through all 4 layers. And just to make sure that we've cut through, I'm going to go ahead and come back. It doesn't sound like it's cutting, so it sounds like we cut through all the way. And it didn't cut exactly in the center because I can't figure out how to figure that measurement, but it is close enough and it's going to be fine for what we want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put these out of the way. We're going to come back to them later. And then we're going to get to our sunflower paper. And this is the one, this is the part that's a little bit tricky. So for this one, we want, when we look at the prototype, you can see that what I did is I left a border around the outside. So we want 2 pieces that are 6 inches by 11.5. That's why we cut the 1/2 inch off of this one too. So you can choose how you want to do it. This one I am going to go ahead and cut the 1/2 inch off the whole piece at once. So that's going to be a scrap, but that's a scrap I might be able to use for something else. And then I'm going to take this piece and cut it at 6 inches. All right, cut it at 6 inches. So these are my 2 pieces that are going to be my center, you know, my focal point. And now we get to the part where we're going to cut the circles. And this is the part that gets a little bit, I guess, intimidating. If you have not watched my video on how to use the circle cutter, it's called Creative Memories Circle Cutter Hack or something. I will link to it in the description of this video. You may want to watch that one too before you attempt this, because I'm going to show you the steps, but I'm going to go through a little faster than I do. And in that video, I talk about how the circle cutter works and some of those things. If you don't know how to use this cutter at all, you may want to watch that video first before you attempt this. What we want to do with this is we want to take this circle design and kind of spread it across both pages. We want to have this illusion that the circle is going across both pages. And so what I found was the easiest way was to take some washi tape and tape these together. And you want to do that on the back. If you don't have washi tape, you could use masking tape. Excuse me. You could use a piece of scrap paper. This piece we cut off with some repositionable adhesive. You just want something that's going to keep these 2 pieces together. That's going to make a big difference in being able to keep these cuts straight. And you want to tape the whole length of your piece, because some of the pieces we're going to end up with are a little bit tiny. And it will just be easier if you have your pieces taped together. So now you've got basically one piece that is 6 by 24. Okay. So what we're going to do now now we're going to make our cutting template to use with the circle. So I'll put that out of the way. I'll get my Post-it notes out. And so again, these have to be square. If they're not square, this whole system doesn't work. But I like to just make a mark. Let me zoom in and get this a little closer. So I like to just make a mark in the corner because that helps me see where actually I should probably take this off. See where I'm doing my lines. My vision isn't what it used to be, and depending on the color of your Post-it note, sometimes it's harder to see where the corners are. And then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm just going to connect those lines, and having that little starter line just makes it easier for me to see in both directions. So basically you're doing an X, because what we want to do is find the center, because obviously as a circle is going to pivot around a center, and this is the piece that we want to position to find where we want the center of our circle to be. So in order for this to line the circle cutter up, though, we need some way to make sure that this is straight. And so the circle cutter is 2.5 inches wide. Can't really see it with my zero centering ruler. You may just have to trust me. So it's about 2.5 inches wide. So the edge of this is right about at the 1.25 inch mark. So what I want to do, and I love the zero centering ruler for this. This is a 3-inch wide ruler. So the zero is at 1.5 inches. Okay, so there's the dark line for 1 inch. There's the dark line for another inch. So this is at 1.5 inches. We want to find the 1.25 inch, which is between the dark line and the zero. And we want to line the 1.25 inch line with one of these and the 0 inch line with the other one. Okay. So there's the zero. Right now this is centered exactly, but we want to scoot it down. This is 1.5 inches. We want to scoot it down to 1.25 inches. And then I just like to make sure that these lines are exactly straight. So if you see, if I have it like that, you can see the lines are off center. So make it straight. There's the 1.5, go back down to the 1.25. And then we're going to draw this line right here. So this gap here is 1.25 inches wide. And that's the secret. And that's the one, if you forget, you can measure to see, okay, where's the center of this? What's that number that I need to have? It's 1.25. And that's just going to make all the difference for using the circle cutter. All right, zoomed back out. And now I'm going to get out my Creative Memories cutting mat, because this has the measurements on it. And to me, this has just been a game changer. I mean, you know, I have my workspace is a big grid, but having the ruler makes this so much easier. So I'm going to position the left-hand side of this on my cutting mat so that the bottom edge is straight along one of these lines. This edge is straight. So now I know that this guy is straight. I want to put the center dot exactly as close to exactly centered this way as I can. And I want to put it about 4.5 inches this way. Actually, I think, I've done it. I usually do it at 4 inches. Let's see. Yeah, let's try it at 4.5 inches this time. No, let's not. Let's try it at, let's do it at 4. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. I'm changing my mind. But I'm going to take my zero centering ruler. I'm going to line it up with the 4-inch line. So it is straight. And then I want this so that this line is toward me. So there's the sticky. That'll make it a little easier. I want this to be toward me, toward the cutting. And I'm just going to kind of slide it. I can pick this up. I'm just going to slide it under my ruler. And again, I'm going to use those lines just to make sure that I'm straight. Okay, so I'm straight on here. On the 4-inch, I'm straight on here. And it's a little tricky because you got that adhesive. If you do not have a Post-it note and you're trying to do this with like a piece of cardstock and some repositionable adhesive, you would want to do this on the back of your paper, because often the repositionable adhesive will pick up a little bit of the design, whereas with this, with the Post-it note, it won't. It's not going to pick up any of your design. So this is the only part you really need this, the measuring part of this grid for, because once you got your Post-it note on here, this is going to make all your measuring easy. But of course, it's really nice to have this as a cutting surface if you don't have a self-healing mat already on your table. But as we cut this, they're taped together. I want you to cut the pieces, and then we're going to put them, we're going to like position them up here in order so that when we go to attach them to our layout, they're already positioned the way we want. So we're going to start with the circle cutter. Again, if you haven't watched the video on how to use that, you're going to want to do that. But I'm going to loosen this piece and I'm going to put the black line at the 11-inch mark. And I have written out these measurements for you if you want to, you know, take a screenshot or write those down, pause the video, write those down. These are the cuts we're going to make. All right, and hopefully you can see those. I'll hold them up again. Well, I'll hold them up again. All right, and I'll leave them right here so you can see them. And now that this Post-it is on here, this doesn't have to stay lined up. You can just put it however you need it to be so that you can cut with it. 11-inch mark, tighten this down. I had somebody at the Crop and Connect who forgot that step, and then we couldn't figure out why her circles weren't right, and that was why. Make sure we're going to be on this. I want to keep this about, no, I don't want to put this on the 4. I want to put this on the 6, kind of, that line on the 6-inch line so that I know that I'm going to fit on my cutting mat. I'm lining this black line up with that 6-inch line. If you have 2 mats, it's really nice. I have 2 mats over at my studio, but I'm doing this at home and I only have 1 for some reason. I need to fix that. So that we want to cut a circle, but because this is just 6 inches, obviously an 11-inch circle is going to be cutting up in here in the air. So you don't have to cut all the way around. So we're just going to cut our half circle here, pushing in on the blade release and then pushing down on the blade. And we're going to cut that piece. Okay, and then I'm going to scoot that up out of the way. And then don't scoot this. Don't let this move. We're going to come down here. We're going to cut again. All right, and then I can put this piece out of the way. And then I can move this if I need to, which I will, because now I need to turn it down to 10.5 inches. And remember that the measurements on here are not in, it's not a 1/2 inch. It doesn't show a 1/2 inch, so you just got to put it between 10.4 and 10.6. Okay. And we're going to put this, again, line up the edge of the cutter on the black line and the black line with the perpendicular line. And this is going to cut basically at a little 1/4 inch section right here. And then we're going to do the same on this side, a little 1/4 inch section. Put that up here. And then we move it down. We were at 10.5. We're going to move to 8.5. And if I'm going too fast for you, please feel free to stop the video and you know, take your time to do this. If you want to practice on a scrap piece of paper, that might be a good idea too. So this one's going to be the 8. Is this the 8.5? Yeah, this is the 8.5. And you don't want to move it at this point. You want to try and keep it as straight as you can. All right, and then the next one we're going to do is 6. Nope, 8.5. We're going to go to 8. Sorry. Basically, we're doing the one time we move it a 1/2 inch. And when you move it a 1/2 inch, that gives you a 1/4 inch piece because you get 2 of them, right? Because it's a circle. You always, this number is going to be double what you want. So if you want a 1-inch circle, you move it 2 inches. If you want a 1/4 inch, you move it a 1/2 inch, which is what we've done. We moved it from 8.5 to 8. We're going to do the exact same thing. Our next cut is when we're going to get closer to actually cutting circles. This one is a little bit tricky because we're cutting through these half circles. Oh, and I lifted it up, which I wasn't supposed to do. Hopefully that will not be a problem. It shouldn't be because of the way we're doing it, although it does look like this is a little bit less than a 1/4 inch because I did scoot it a little bit. Okay, so now I'm on 8. I'm going to move it down to 6. Try not to move it. Try not to like take your hands off it when until you finish both cuts, which is exactly what I just did. All right, this one is 6, and in a perfect world, this would cut exactly on the paper without going over, but I went just a hair off the edge. So maybe that is exactly 6 inches, I guess. If yours isn't exactly centered, it doesn't matter. So those are going to go up here. Looks like I don't have quite enough space. And that was our 6 inch. Now we're going to go down to 5.5. Now it's a little easier because our circle is smaller, so we can scoot this guy around on the mat a little bit more without worrying we're going to go off the edge. All right, so there's our next circle. Next, we're going down to 4 inches. This is a little bit, it's going to give us a little bit narrower circle for this, but we're getting down to about as small a circle as we can cut. All right, as you're getting closer to the smaller circles, it does get a little harder to cut. And I'll show you why, just because the blade or the knob, I don't know what this is called, gets so close to this where you're holding that this will kind of bump into it. And so the smallest size circle you can cut is like a 3.1. We're only going to go to 3.5 for this one. Just because, any more than that, I mean, as it is, this barely clears. You know, if you go all the way down to 3, you don't have space to move this. And it's hard when you're trying to hold this and your finger can't go around. So 3.5 is about the smallest circle. I mean, you can go almost to 3, but it's kind of a pain. So just know that it's normal for it to be a little bit more difficult when you get to the smaller circle. And I definitely recommend playing around with your circle cutter so that you become comfortable with it. Because once you've figured it out, then it's easy. It's not intimidating like it is to start. Okay, so that's all we're going to do with the circle cutter for this one. Unless you wanted to do like the next level, which would be this one that I did with Summer Denim. Whoops. On Summer Denim, I cut the big circle. This is the piece we just cut right here. And then I took this end piece and I cut some more circles over here. So that's kind of the next stage. And maybe what I'll do at the end, after this video is done, I'll just tack this on with repositional, and then we'll pull it off and I'll show you what I mean if you want to do that. But we're not going to worry about that right now. We're going to just put our layout together. And so I'm going to put let's see if I can move this down a little bit this way, because I need that whole stuff arranged in front of me. I'm going to put my base papers. Actually, I think I'm just going to start with one. I'm going to start with my left-hand paper. And I probably want I said I was done with this mat, but I think I'm not done with this mat, because we want to center this piece on here. And it's just hard for me to stay on screen and on my table and fit all the things. So hopefully at your house it won't be quite as hard. What we're going to do, I'm going to take my mat right here and I'm going to position it so that it's exactly lined up with this. And then I'm going to take my 0 centering ruler and put it along the bottom, because what I want is, this is a 6-inch piece. So I know if I put it 3 inches up, it's going to be straight. So we're going to start with, all right, I have to move down just a hair, but you guys can see what I'm doing, right? So we're going to start with this piece, one of the pieces that has the washi tape, because we need to know where the edge is to line it up, and we also need a straight piece. It would be much more difficult to do it with this one because the pieces are so tiny. So I'm going to take this piece that has kind of the seam down it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel off this washi tape, because I'm not putting both pieces together. And it may rip my paper a little bit. That's okay, because it's the back. Okay, but I still don't like it to rip my paper. Washi tape is not supposed to rip your paper, but depending on how sticky your washi tape is. Okay, this one is apparently a little too sticky. So I'm going to peel this off. You could probably use masking tape for this, painter's tape. See, it's ripping it in both directions. Don't rip. Okay, this is worrying me just a little, because I don't want to rip through all the way through the paper. Okay, well, I didn't want for it to do that if your washi tape's too sticky, but it doesn't matter because that's the side we're using. That's why we put tape on the back. Okay, and then I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive And I want to be especially careful to get it on these little corner pieces because I want those to stick down nicely. So I'm just going to be fairly generous with my repositionable adhesive. Because I have this ruler right here, I can just line up the bottom edge with that and this piece right here. Okay, so the first piece is the hardest one to position. So that's why it's nice to have one that has the straight edge that we can line up with the straight edge here. And then this bottom piece to make that, you know, just to make that clear. Now we're going to take the next piece, which I guess for this one is the circle, and put it in here. And I like to actually line up my pattern. It probably doesn't matter because these are circles. And this is just a spacer. These little 1/4 inch rings are only a spacer, so you don't need to stick them down. They're just to make sure that when you put your pieces down, they are lined up. So if you were using a stripe or a pattern that had a big pattern that you wanted to match, I've got little pieces of Post-it note corners stuck on here, so go ahead and peel those off too. If you wanted to match your pattern, this is where you would do that, like right there. I think it does kind of look nice, and I tend to like to match my patterns. And then this one again is just going to be our spacer. Where did it go? Nope. This one. Nice to figure out how to match the pattern. This one I'm going to go ahead and peel the Post-it note off. And actually for this one, I think I'm going to go ahead and use permanent adhesive. No. It's like a puzzle, putting together a puzzle. That's not it. It must be that one. There we go. All right, so there's my pieces. And now I'm going to go ahead and take off this spacer, but not this one because now I want to put this side on. And again, that's why it made it nice to leave them in order, because these two pieces look a lot the same. These two pieces look a lot the same, but if you've kept them in order, it's a lot easier to know which goes where. And then this one again, we're going to use the bottom of this ruler. So the sticky is wanting to grab. Okay, so I'll put that on, and then I'll take my spacer. Oh, see, wrong spacer. I got it mixed up. You'll see that they're not quite the same. The circle isn't quite the same, so it does make it a little bit easier. And of course, if your pattern is matched. We'll put this piece. So I'm sure that there's a way to do this where you don't have to do the spacers, that you could just slide it out. But because the circle changes angles a little bit, I just thought it was nicer to do it with the spacers. And then you can take those spacers. Actually, I'm going to put permanent on this. You can take those spacers and use them for something else if you want, or just discard them. It's up to you. So when we put this piece down, this edge should come to right about the 1/2 inch line on that ruler. Okay, so there's our whole piece, and we'll take the spacers out and see how pretty that looks. I just think it looks really, really pretty. Well, I'm going to do this last little bit with this piece is a spacer, so we're not going to take the adhesive off it, but this one are the little tiny pieces that are left over on the ends, and so this is a little bit fiddly. Well, that one didn't rip, thank goodness. So I'm going to put this piece up here with my spacer and with the edge, and then this piece on the bottom. All right, actually that didn't go quite to the edge. I want that to go all the way to the edge. Okay, so this is this side, and then we'll just take the next pieces, and you can still use your oops, I want to make these the same direction. You can still use your 0 centering ruler if you like, to make sure that you're the right distance away. But where's the one I just used as a spacer? Here it is. This one is my spacer. So I have the piece that I pulled off earlier. And again, this is the one that the washi tape rips. So again, you want to be pretty generous with it. Adhesive on the end. I just ripped it. Dang it. Okay. Come on, repositionable adhesive. Do your stuff. So this piece is now fragile because a lot of its paper got torn out. But hopefully, put this guy on. I'm still using the line where the two pieces join together. I can see that. So we'll put this right here. And kind of once you got this piece on, then you can move that side out of the way. And then this is that other piece we just took the... I guess when you do this piece, you could like just put it in a couple inches and not do the whole section. Maybe that would have made it less likely to tear. So again, I want to line it up with the bottom so I know it's straight. But by lining it up with the edges of the paper and my little spacer, it should be fine. Okay. And then I have one more spacer right here. And I am not going to stick this piece down yet. Well, I guess I'll stick it down a little bit. Just because, you know, I talked about trying to do something to show you the kind of the next step level. I'm just putting a little bit in the corners for this one so that when, you know, at the end I'll pull it up, and we'll keep going for those of you who are crazy like me and want to, you know, be a little bit more extreme. Okay, but I'm going to keep this piece in so that when I take it off, I can put it back on. And maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe that's just me being crazy. Okay, so this is the center section, and now we want to put the wavy section. Now, hopefully you kept these stacked in order. We cut these all at once, and so that gives us a little bit more flexibility. But even if you didn't, as long as you got them stacked in order, you'll be able to find the two that match. So if you wanted to, you can do it just like this. And again, it's going to give you about a 1/2 inch, and we're going to position it a 1/2 inch from the top and bottom. But if you wanted to, you could also use the underside. Oh, you have to flip it over. So do it like this. Oh, maybe you can't. Maybe you can't do it because we cut them all the same. All right, never mind. We're not going to be able to use the front and back. I don't know how I managed it with the front and the back the last time. We'll just do it like that. Yep, it's going to have to be this way. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of eyeball this. Actually, I think I'm going to put it back on my grid line, so that'll help me make it. I think I'll do the bottom one first. And I'm going to use regular, but you could use repo. And I am actually going to use my my 0 centering ruler again to get this exactly a 1/2 inch from the bottom. Y'all, it's so hard when I try something and it doesn't quite work out when I'm recording. It's so hard to not want to just like scrub the video and not try again. So I know there's a way to do it front and back, and I can't remember what it is. Maybe that is when you have to center it so that you have the option to flip over one side. And I'm just going to eyeball this one just to kind of keep the lines as close to the same as I can. So that's on the 1/4 inch line right there. So that should be close to straight. Okay, turn this over and we'll do the same thing again. Actually, what I think I want to do is, because one side is a little bit wider than the other, I think I want to put the narrower side in closer to the center, and then the wider side on the outside. It doesn't probably really matter, but I just think visually it will give it a little bit more interest if there's a smidge variety and consistency in how we position our wavy pieces. And definitely when you go across to the other side, you want to make sure you've done the same thing. If you wanted to use your 0 centering ruler to make sure that this guy was straight, you could. You put it at the, because this ends at right at the 3 inch or the 6 or the 9, I mean, you could just put this at 3 1/4. And then that would make sure that this one is also perfectly 1/4 inch apart. Although actually that means that one down there doesn't look like it's a 1/4 inch. It looks like it's a little bit wider than that. So I think I'm going to go back to my whole eyeballing and just kind of center it in a way that looks good to me, which is maybe going to be a little bit more than a 1/4 inch. All right, there we go. Isn't that looking pretty? I really, really am pleased with this and how it's turning out. And then I'm going to use this paper to kind of position my other pieces. And again, remembering that one of these is a little bit wider than the other. And they're all the same, right? So maybe I should have centered it. It's just so much easier not to center it. But now that I'm looking at it, I think it would have lined up better in the middle if it had been centered. So, all right, live and learn. I guess I said I was going to use the other side to position it, but really I'm going to use my ruler. Because I just love the way that this has this wide lip, and so you can just butt things up against it, and it makes sure that things stay in their spot. All right, and then last of all, we'll come down and do this same thing here. I do wish I could have flipped this over. I guess I could cut another piece, but I'm not going to. See how nice that is with the 0 centering ruler helping me to position it. All right, so now you can use, you could embellish. This particular collection doesn't have any embellishments. It has some little sunflower embellishments, but it has some stickers. You could use some stickers. On the Mermaid Cove, I'll show you, oh, where did I put the one that has the embellishments on it? Oh, here. Too many pieces stacked over here. On Mermaid Cove, you can see that I put, I did some border stickers along the bottom. And then I used a little title and kind of a cluster here. You put your, figure out your photos first for this one. Because I had the mermaid, I kind of tried to keep them like that. You do have this piece that we had left over. This is a 4-inch piece. This has those yellow dots on the back that I didn't get to use anywhere. So I can use this as some photo mats. This is actually the other side, but cut this in half. And this gives me some 2 4x6 photo mats. You could cut up another piece of paper and take that off so we can get the full effect. But you don't have to do too much with this as far as embellishing, because it already has a lot going on with all the wavy cuts we've put in here. All right. I put the mermaids on top of it. Oops. Okay, so you could do your photo mats, you know, like this. You don't have to leave this circle, but you could put do your photo mats kind of like this. You could put your title in the circle. You could have photo mats kind of like this, or just photos, not even on mats. You could position them kind of however you like it. You want to have the circle kind of give, like this would be your focal point. Maybe you put a single photo, maybe like that. That could be kind of fun, and then a couple over here. So you decide how you want that to be. And actually, I'm thinking it looks like it's not quite centered, even though I used my little spacers. And even though this is regular adhesive, I feel like I still have a little bit of wiggle room to get this. Oh, look, it didn't line up with the, maybe it did. There we go. Look at that, just better centered. Okay, I like that better. All right, so there you go. This is basically the circle wave layout. You could easily be done at this point. Put some embellishments. I don't have the stickers. I think I left them upstairs, but I will. I'll find the stickers and put those on, and I will the picture that will be at the on the thumbnail for the video will be the finished product. I don't have any pictures to put on. I wish I did, because that would be really fun to put some pictures on this. I got to get me some sunflower pictures because I love sunflowers. So that's the end of this layout, unless you want to do another set of circles. And in which case you can stick around and I'll do another set of circles. But for the rest of you, thank you. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you feel like this is something you might be willing to try with the circle wave layout. You could even leave off the wave if you wanted to and just put a 2.5-inch strip of paper at the top and bottom. That would work too. But I kind of like both, especially when I use the mermaids. I like the movement and stuff that comes with the circle and the wave. All right, so those of you who are done, feel free to be done. Those of you who want to do the next step, we're going to do this step right here. And I actually didn't practice it. I just did it the one time, so we might be kind of flying blind. But I'm going to pull this off again. Oh, I hope I haven't lost my spacer, which I took off. And we're going to cut the same basic circles that we used the first time. Where did I put my Post-it note? So you can reuse your same Post-it note multiple times. As long as it has it sticky on it, you can use it multiple times. I don't want this next one to be exactly centered. I think that would be too much to have like the circles right up against each other. It might look like kind of weird, funky eyeballs or something, but I kind of want to do it off center. I think I'll do it up here in this corner. And so what I want to do is I just want to put this however I want. I'm going to just eyeball it up here in a corner. And you always want to cut your biggest circle first, because once you cut this, you can't, cut the bigger circle. So if I want to come all the way over to here, again, I'm using this little center section to help me decide where the edge is. So I could come here. This would be a 7-inch, no, that would be a 14-inch circle. That's bigger than I could cut. If I did a 6-inch, so if I do it, the very biggest circle is going to be like a 12. Maybe I better scoot this guy over a little bit more. Let's scoot over a smidge more. And that way I can do, I could do the 6-inch circle So this is my 0, this is 6. I could do the 6-inch circle, and that's going to kind of just give me those little edges. So we're going to try this. We're going to see. I probably should have taken a picture before I went on down. So I said 6, but of course I meant 12. But you can't really do 12, so we're going to do 11.5 this time. And it's the same. We're going to use the wait a second. No, well, that's be fine. We're going to do this 11.5. We're going to cut here and here. Okay, so that's our piece. So now we have to move this a 1/2 inch to get our spacer. So now we're going to go to 11, because it's really important that you have the spacer. Makes a big difference if you don't have that spacer in there. And I don't have to go around all the way, because I know that my circle is not gonna go all the way around. So now I'm at 11, and I want to have a 1-inch ring, so I have to move it down 2 inches. I'm gonna move it to 9. And that's one of the trickiest things about the circle cutter, is if you want a 1-inch circle, you move it 2 inches. And that's because when you do a circle and you have a 1 inch on this side, you also get 1 inch on that side, even though we're only cutting half. So just remember that. You double on here what you want on here. So maybe I'll even do a 1.5 inch circle for some variety. So in that case, I'm going to move it down 3 inches. I'm going to cut a 1.5 inch circle for this one. Let's see. And now I'm going to try and kind of bring this more toward the middle, just in case we get to the point where I want to go all the way around, which is not quite yet. So that one I moved down to 8. So now that was our wide. So now we needed the skinny, which is a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go to 7.5. Oh, wait, hang on just a second. I might need to go back to 8. Do I need to cut right here? Oh yeah, look at that. I think I need to cut these little edges off. So this is back at 8. That's going to be a little tricky. All right, 8. So now I'm going to go down to 7.5. Be sure you're on the inch side and not the centimeter side. You could do this exact same technique with centimeters if your brain thinks in centimeters, though. So don't feel like I'm trying to change how your brain likes to do math. And now, because I've realized that I can go all the way around, I'm going to have to do this all the way around. So those are my spacers. Those are my spacers. And because I moved it, it's not 100%. This is a little narrower than I wanted it to be. All right, 7.5. So that was my 1/4 inch. So now I'm going to move it down 2 inches. Oh, do 2.5. Oh, that's going to be hard. 7.5, that would be 5. I'm going to go to 5. You can do any size you want. I decided for this one I wanted to do the wider circle, the 1.5 inch circle. So I moved it down 3 inches. Okay. But now I'm at 5.5, and I got it to do 4.5. And then you really can't go much smaller than, you can't go all the way down to 3 inches. So just be aware that finish out your circle so that like the last circle you cut can be one of the spacers. And so maybe I'll just leave this big like this for this other side, because you guys get the idea. And just, you see that I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants on this one. Hey, if you stayed for this part at the end, will you tell me in the comments that you stayed for the long version? Just because I'm curious. Okay, no, did I cut? I had a spacer. Where did my spacer go that I on purpose kept? Remember, I kept it and I said I needed to keep it. Oh, drat. I don't know where it went. I cut it earlier, and then, is that it? I don't think that one's it. But you know what? That one's going to work. So I'm going to put this guy on. It must be the one from the other side. Maybe it's this one. Nope. Yeah, be sure to save your spacer piece, or you'll just have to eyeball it, which, not the end of the world if you have to eyeball it. I'll put my ruler back to keep this bottom line nice and straight. I turned this upside down. Oh, I didn't turn it upside down. So, all right, so that one goes here. That's my spacer. I'm not going to stick it down. Then I have the 1.5 inch circle. Oh, I want the get that adhesive on those little pointy ends so that they stay stuck down. Okay, and then my spacer. And then this one's going to be nice and easy because it stayed, you know, it's together. I'll still put some, but I'm going to use regular. This is probably closer to almost centered than I wanted it to be, but oh well. That's what happens when I decide on the fly to go off script. So, all right, and then we have this spacer, which for whatever reason wasn't quite straight. I don't know what I did wrong. So I think I'm not going to use the spacer. I'm just going to eyeball this. See if I can find, I think those two are supposed to go together. And then this corner piece. And I probably ought to put the stickers on, but I hate to make you guys wait while I do it, and I hate to have to edit. It's such a pain to have to edit out when I go on the hunt for things. So I'll look real quick. Again, you can leave. You don't need to stay. I want this to line up with that edge. Little bit of damage from the repo that was on here earlier. There you go. So we'll pull those out. Ta-da. There we go. Does but that looks kind of eyeball-y. That's not really what I was going for. So I don't necessarily love that part. Let me grab the stickers. Stay if you want, leave if you want. The sunflower field stickers. Let's just finish this guy up and see what we can come up with as far as the decorating. I do love these stickers. I love the kind of watercolor design of them. But I want to use I think I might do the border down here. I don't know if I want to incorporate the green though. Yeah, I do. I'm going to incorporate the green. I'm afraid this is going to be too much, but oh well. I've done too much before, right? So I think adding another color is going to be good. So we'll do this little diamond. I think I'm going to bring it in about 1 inch. I don't know. What do we think? I kind of don't like it, but now I'm committed, so we'll do it on the other side too. All right. 1 inch from the outside. We'll do that. This one, does this have any titles? Oh, it does. Oh, I love this. You Are My Sunshine. Okay. So I think I'm going to leave this blank. And because I don't love this eyeball over here, I think I'm going to put these right here. Let's see if we have another piece of that. I don't know what I've got left in this Sunflower Fields pack. Oh, look, I have another piece. So I'm going to cut my other, I'm going to cut 4 more mats out of this. And oops. Just to have these 4 more mats. And actually I might want a green mat now that I've put that green on there. So I think I'm gonna have to take, see, that's not really the same green though. I think I'll take a piece of green cardstock. You guys are just, sorry, trapped here for the thinking out loud part. All right, this is the dark green. I'm gonna cut a 4.5 by 6.5 mat to go kind of be my focal point mat on this side. And then the rest will be the 4 by 6 mats. I think I'm gonna put this, oh, I don't wanna cover up all my circles. I went to all that trouble. I think I'll do it that way. How's that? We'll do it that way. We'll do this one down here. And we'll do 1, 2, 3. Is that too many mats? Oh, maybe we'll do it like this. Too much. Is it too much? It's too much. I think I'll do it like that then. I guess it can come clear down to here. I don't know about that actually now that I cut it. I think we'll do it like that. And I'll just cross my fingers that when the time comes, I have pictures that will fit this way. I know a lot of people don't like to put their mats on until they have their pictures, and that's of course totally fine. If you want to wait and put your mats on when you have pictures, you can do that. Hopefully you've got some pictures. Hopefully, I just picked this paper because it's new and pretty, but hopefully whatever you decide to do, you'll be using paper that works with the project that you are doing. And in fact, I have a project coming up that I may do this same layout again. And I'll just do it with paper that's going to fit. I feel because I did these two kind of wonky, I want to do these two wonky, but I'll do this one straight. I'll do it like that. So you see, I covered up a lot of the circle, and I don't know how I feel about that though, because I want to keep my circle. I think I'll do it like that, and then I can, oh, I'll put my title right there. That's what I'm going to do. Put the title. Okay. All right, so now this is the other part where I ask for your input. Did you like having me kind of go off script and add this end section, or would you rather I have just ended the video at the part of the layout that I knew what I was doing? I would love to hear your opinion about that. I kind of want to keep the circles, but I don't really want to put my title clear down here. I used all my mats though. All right, so maybe we're doing one more mat. And I think I'm going to straighten those out now, because now that this is, oh no, I can use this big one, right? I'll use this big one right here. There we go. That way I still see my circles, but I still got my mat. And because these are straight, I'm going to have to go make, I think I'm going to turn this. I'm going to have to go make the other one straight. Nope. Oh, I don't know. This covers up so much of my circles. Feeling all sorts of anxiety with that camera rolling, y'all. But thankfully, I know half the people have stopped watching. So thanks to those of you who stuck with me to the bitter end. And I think we'll come back. I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to do the kind of 2 off. We'll do them like that. Okay, we'll do it like that. We're going to put, oh, put You Are My Sunshine right here in the middle. Well, that kind of still covers up my circle, so I'll do it right there. And I'm going to put it on some foam squares. Oh no, I'll use foam tape because it's big. I'm going to use foam tape for this. Okay. I do love the dimension that the foam squares or the foam tape gives. I just, you know, you don't want too much dimension because you don't want your scrapbooks to be too bumpy, but it just really adds some personality. That's not the right word. Okay, I'm not going to stick that down yet. I think I'm going to put that right there. You Are My Sunshine. And we'll do, oh, some flowers. Just some, I'll do that one. I want to do the group of 3s. I don't even think I'm going to pop dot that one. I think I'm just going to stick that down. You Are My Sunshine. And I know we've got that rule of 3, but I think I'm going to have to do, well, I don't know, that's, I want the kind of the triangle-y shape, but I don't want these to be floating in space either. Let's do it like that. I don't know. I think we can do 5s, right? Hasn't Noreen told us, even though it's like the rule of 3, we can also do 5s. So I'm going to do a little one up here, but I've used them all. I'll use this one. Thankful for this moment. Okay, there we go. All right, thank you for letting me play, letting me kind of figure this out as I went. I am going to be starting a new series, hopefully very soon, that will involve a lot more of this kind of, let's see how it goes, not necessarily having a layout planned before I start. So this would be a good experiment. I've already said this like 7 times, but let me know in the comments what you think about, you know, of course, this particular layout. Would you use this layout? Is it something you would use? Or, and how did you feel about me like doing a couple of different endings? So you could finish the layout at one point, or you can stay all the way to the end. I'm still not sure how I feel about this. But yeah, I'd love to know your feedback as I get ready to do this, this new series, which will hopefully be coming very soon, which I'm going to be calling Theme Park Thursdays. So watch for Theme Park Thursdays probably next week, maybe next week. I don't know. My life has been so busy. I haven't had time to get it started, and I would really like to do that. So, all right, here I go. This is the part where I shouldn't have stuck the stickers down. And I'm not done. And I keep telling you guys you can go, and I don't want to just have this video go on forever, but all right, we'll do that. Okay, that's going to be it. I'm going to be done. I may scoot those up, but I won't do that on camera. Thank you for playing with me today and for indulging me as I, like I say, went off script. Let me know what you think. Let me know about this layout. Let me know what you thought about kind of the extended version, or if you'd rather I just get to the point and be done. So, but tell me nicely. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you watching my channel. I love the feedback, and I will be back again very soon. Thanks a lot, and happy scrapbooking.